Spyderco! Spyderco, Spyderco, Spyderco. When you see that signature thumb hole, that thumb ramp, their sharp, fine jimping, those pocket clips, those organic, sexy curves in the handle, the leaf-shaped blade, you know you are dealing with a Spyderco. Spyderco gets a lot of press here on the internet, on YouTube, on knife forums, probably more than any other knife company, I would say, across the board. I mean, there are some exceptions occasionally, but generally speaking, there's lots and lots of videos on Spydercos. A lot of people like collecting Spydercos specifically. I just want to make a brief video talking about why Spydercos are so popular, what I personally like about Spydercos. Are they my favorite knife company? No. Probably not. No, but they're very, very good. I really, really like them. There's a couple things I dislike about them. The main thing just being their knives look very similar. Yeah, you look at all these knives here on the table. The blade shapes are all very similar, leaf-shaped blades. Some are a little skinnier, some are a little wider, some a little shorter. But generally speaking, across the board, we have similar blade shapes right here. Handle shapes are relatively different. You know, they're curvy and they have some little points here and there. These two are pretty similar, actually. Even though the handle materials and the colors are quite different, the shapes of the handles are very, very similar. They both have those choils right there. As you can see, here's one that's a little bit different right here, the Endura. Resilience, lightweight up here. Yeah, more or less, they're similar, even though they have some different locking mechanisms and such. Another thing I do not like about Spydercos, just getting the negatives out of the way, is the price. They're expensive. They've always been on the more expensive side, but ever since just a few years ago, filming this late 2022 right now, I think it was 2020, maybe it was 2019, somewhere around there, they upped their retail prices across the board as well. I remember these lightweight Manixes with the CTS BD1 steel. You could get these back in the day for about $70, talking like 2013. Now, I think this model in particular got discontinued, but the new current lightweight Manix, I think, is somewhere around 140, 150. They're not cheap. You can get knives with similar, if not the same blade steels for about like $20 less or so. And not all of these are US made. So just keep that in mind as well. So they look very similar knives, and they're expensive. And the only other bad thing I can think of is maybe they're a little fragile. As far as these thin blades go, as far as the leaf-shaped blade that they put on just about every single one of their knives, they tend to snap or chip relatively easily, but that's just because they're thinner blades. The advantage you get with the thinner blades and the more acute points that they're very good for piercing and doing more surgical, precise type work like that. Also lightens up the knife. But as far as strength goes, Spydercos are not the strongest knives on the market. There are certainly stronger knives out there. Even Benchmades are stronger. There's even some CRKTs and Kershaws that are beefier, and the blades are a little bit thicker that they make. Cold Steel, don't even get me started on those guys. Those are easily the strongest folding production knives on the market still. But good things. What are the good things? What makes Spyderco still so damn popular and so great? Well, first of all, the ergonomics. They always nail their ergonomics in every single one of these knives. The jimping's always fantastic. It's really sharp. It's always perfection on every single one of their blades. Look how much this Manix right here is jimped. It's just heavily, aggressively jimped. They all have very good lockups. All of these knives have excellent fit and finishes. Their pocket clips are near perfection. The tension's always just right. This general design is great. I like how it shoots up, plateaus, then pinches down. It's nice and rounded at the edge. It's not going to scrape against things too easily. It's not too flared out. It's not too short or too tight. It's not too loose. Some people would probably prefer a loop over a clip. Yeah, I could see that, but I like this design. It's easier for me to grab onto in the pocket, and it's not too obtrusive or anything. Ergonomics are great. I love this Volcano grip they put on their FRN handles like this Endura. Same with this Manix right here. Same exact grip. It's really beautiful. Works very, very well. Very grippy. It's not too sandpapery feeling, but it's not too smooth either. It's just right. Same thing on this guy right here. Beautiful. So we have outstanding ergonomics on every single one of their knives. Next thing is that signature SpyderHole. It's literally just a circular cutout in the blade, but it is so effective because it's a 90-degree cut. It's really sharp. It catches the tip of your thumb very easily every single time. Very easy to flick open. Technically speaking, it lightens up the knife. Technically, it is skeletonization of the blade, and it gives an excuse to create a thumb ramp up here, which is also very comfortable. It naturally matches the curvature of our human thumbs, at least most of us anyway. And the leaf-shaped blade, although they use it on pretty much all of their knives, You might think it's boring that it's the same thing over and over again, but you know what? It's very effective. It's a good overall design. Very good for piercing. It's not too fragile. I know I just said it's acute. It can snap easily. Yeah, their blades are relatively thin, but there's knives out there that are thinner. Good belly, good for slicing. They're pretty good defensive blades. Not the best for defense, but they're good enough. They're not bad at anything in particular. And again, going back to all their knives look the same thing that I just complained about. Well, how do you improve upon perfection? You know, if you already perfected ergonomics that fit the human hand so well and they make them so comfortable and it really locks your hand in there, and then on top of that, you have good jimping and cutouts and texturing that excel your grip. First things first, when it comes to knives, the ergonomics should be there. They should fit your hand very well. That is what should lock your hand. And on top of that, if you have rough texturing and then jimping, that just throws it over the top, makes it even more grippy, makes it even more secure in your hand. So when we're talking about defense and grip and tactical situations and emergency situations, they have that nailed. It's perfect. They're all ambidextrous. They always tap out the other side for the pocket clip, and some of them even offer it in tip down. Not that anybody wants that these days in 2022, but if you're that one guy, awesome. Now, on top of great ergonomics, the signature thumb hole that just kicks ass, my favorite deployment mechanism on a blade, good pocket clips, even this wire clip right here. Not my favorite pocket clip, but for being a lightweight covert knife, it's excellent for what it is. We have very, very, very sharp blades, very sharp, well-executed cutting edges. Now, I don't want to give Spyderco a huge pat on the back for having great blade steels and great heat treatment, because these days we have plenty of other knife companies that do the same thing. But what Spyderco does is grind their edges on a more acute angle in comparison to the industry standard. I don't remember the numbers offhand, but what I do know for a fact, it's about 5 degrees more acute on each side for their edges, so they come out of the box just razor sexy sharp, even more so than most production knives across the board, like I said. So again, although all their knives are very similar looking, I do agree with that. A lot of people who don't like Spyderco haters even, will often say, oh, come on, dude, all their knives look the same. It's the same thing, the same leaf shape, the same circle, the same handle, cutouts more or less. Yeah, I do agree with that, but at the same time, if they perfected it, if it fits the human hand really well, if your hand locks in there, it's extremely comfortable. You can choke up on it. The jimping, it's just perfection right there. These knives are so comfortable. They really feel good in the hand. You can really squeeze your hand and lock it. It feels like I grabbed a piece of clay and squeezed, and that's kind of what came out. They're so comfortable. Their ergonomics are great. They're somewhat function over form knives. A lot of people think Spydercos are ugly. I beg to differ. I think they're beautiful. They're certainly unconventional looking. They look like alien weapons or something. Yeah, a little bit, but you know what? If they function better than the conventional designs, who gives a shit, you know? If they function well, what does it matter if they don't look like what the normal knife is supposed to look like? Like, who cares? What does it matter? Yeah, I'd go back to the classic design if it was better, but if this works better than the classic design, why would I want to go back there? So yeah, they are strange, they're odd, they're unconventional, but they work very, very well. Time and time again, they've been proven to be an excellent knife company. The only thing I can say about the thumb hole that's bad is that it technically weakens the blade. There are some people who do knife tests, smack the knife against things, and try to pry open with them. Right here is a weak point. I will give them that. Yes, it is a weak point, but if you're not using your blade as a pry bar, you shouldn't have that problem. If you're trying to pry things open with a knife, I don't know why you would, or let alone a folding knife, but if you had to do that, get yourself a thick old cold steel with a Tonto blade on there or something. These knives aren't meant to do that. They're a little bit more delicate, better for surgical work and EDC tasks, but still pretty good for defense. They can be very good for piercing, very good for stabbing, slicing. You absolutely can slice someone open, fillet someone's chest open with these things, although they are a little bit more on the fragile side. It does kind of depend on which leaf-style blade you get. Similar, but not quite the same, as you can see. So, again, they're more function over form to me, although I think they're beautiful looking. They're very, very comfortable knives. I would date this Mannix XL if it were a woman. She'd be a large woman, but anyway. I think those are some of the reasons most of us love the Spydercos. Why do you like Spyderco if you do? Why do you dislike Spyderco if you do? Comment below. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more knife videos, gear videos, lighter, flashlight, gun reviews. And feel free to support me on Patreon, link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Mannix out.